Right in the heart of Europe, squeezed between giants like France and Germany, there is a kingdom that, by all accounts, really shouldn't exist. It's a place that's been stitched together from different languages, different cultures, a nation practically born from the conflicts of other empires. This is the story of Belgium, the unlikely kingdom.
So, let's just start with a puzzle, shall we? How can a single country possibly have 6 different governments, and yet somehow also hold the world record for going the longest without a government? We're talking almost 600 days. How does a place that seems so divided become the political capital for an entire continent?
You see, Belgium is a land of incredible contradictions. It's a place of world-changing ideas and, at the same time, paralyzing political arguments. This is the Belgian paradox. And to really understand it, we have to look a little deeper.
To get a grip on why Belgium is so fractured on the inside, you've got to start with the land itself. For centuries, this flat, open piece of land, with almost no natural defenses, wasn't just a country. It was basically Europe's favorite place to have a war.
It even earned a pretty brutal nickname, the cockpit of Europe. And no, that wasn't a compliment. The term refers to the pits used for cockfighting. It meant this was the ground where Europe's great powers, from Napoleon at Waterloo to the armies of 2 world wars, came to settle their scores.
I mean, the history of this place being passed around is just staggering. First the Romans, then the Burgundians, the Spanish, the Austrians, the French, and finally the Dutch. The country we know as Belgium didn't even come to be until 1830. Its identity was never really built on its own, but always in a reaction to the huge powers surrounding it.
All that pressure from the outside for centuries, well, it left a massive fault line running right through the heart of the modern country. And it's a divide that's not just about language, but about culture, politics, and especially money.
So at its core, you've got 2 major groups. In the north, there's Flanders, where the majority of people speak Dutch. In the south, you have Wallonia, which is French-speaking. Oh, and there's a small German-speaking community out to the east. And right there in the middle, you've got Brussels, which is officially bilingual but mostly French-speaking in practice. But here's the twist that really fuels so much of the tension today. For more than a century, French-speaking Wallonia, with its coal and steel, was the rich, industrial engine of the country. Flanders, up north, was kind of the poor farming cousin. But after World War II, everything flipped. Wallonia's old industries died out, while Flanders jumped on new technology and global trade, becoming one of the wealthiest regions in all of Europe. That massive economic shift turned the country's power dynamic completely upside down.
So how on earth do you govern a nation with that kind of deep historical divide and a total reversal of fortune between its 2 main groups? Well, the answer is you create one of the most complicated political systems in the world.
Think of it like having 6 governments all at once. So at the very top, there's a federal government for the big stuff, defense, justice. Then underneath that, you have 3 regional governments based on territory, Flanders, Wallonia, and Brussels. But layered on top of all of that are 3 more community governments based on language, and they handle things like culture and education. It's this incredibly complex web designed to do one thing: give each group as much freedom as possible so no one side can dominate the others.
And this number? Well, this is what happens when that system hits a wall. Back in 2010, after an election, the political parties just could not agree on how to form a government, and so they argued for 589 days. A world record. For over a year and a half, Belgium was basically run by a temp government, which kind of proved to a lot of people that, bizarrely, the country could get along just fine without anyone officially in charge.
And here we land on the ultimate paradox. This nation, a world champion of arguing with itself, is also the capital of European unity. Brussels hosts the headquarters for both the European Union and NATO. Maybe a country that's constantly trying to find compromise within its own borders is actually the perfect, if deeply ironic, place for the world's most powerful alliances.
So if politics and money are always pulling the country in different directions, what in the world holds it together? Beyond all the delicate compromises, there's something else: a shared culture, a kind of uniquely Belgian soul that manages to cross those language barriers.
It's honestly mind-blowing what's come out of this tiny nation. The actual idea of the Big Bang, a Belgian priest came up with it. The saxophone? Invented here. The very foundations of modern anatomy, game-changing world maps, the surreal art of Magritte, and yeah, of course, global icons like Tintin and the Smurfs. These aren't Flemish or Walloon things. They are, without a doubt, Belgian. And then you have the things that everyone can agree on. an absolute devotion to beer, with more than 1,000 kinds, including the legendary Trappist ales that are still brewed by monks. The simple joy of moules frites, mussels and fries, world-class chocolate, and these amazing ancient traditions like the Carnival of Binche. This is where you find the common ground, a shared and pretty fierce national pride.
So all this leaves us with one last question. In a world that seems to be getting more and more divided, is Belgium's messy, never-ending, super complicated search for compromise actually a blueprint for the future? Is it a model for how different cultures can live together? Or is it just a fragile accident of history, a kingdom always balancing on the edge of its own paradox? The answer, just like Belgium itself, is anything but simple.